As I said, Johnny and the rest of his family live next door to me. Johnny is just an amazing kid. Some people say he's got ways about him that just ain't right. One of the things that I remember is Johnny riding hell-bent for leather down the country lane to Mr. Smith's farm with his camera around his neck. Mr. Smith's out planting soybeans. Sees Johnny coming and stops the tractor. "Hi, Johnny, how you doing?" "Oh, Mr. Smith, can I take some pictures of me with your tractor?" "Well, yeah, sure, why not? Tell you what, I'm thirsty. I'm going to go up and get some iced tea, and you can have at it." And when he comes back, there's Johnny in his underwear. And he's rubbing the tractor and taking selfies, and he's caressing the steering wheel and taking pictures. And Mr. Smith says, "Johnny, what are you doing?" He said, "I asked my dad how I could get Julia to be my girlfriend. And he said I'd have to do something sexy to a tractor." Lavinia, Johnny's little sister, had a rabbit. I came home one day from grocery shopping, and there's my dog playing with Fluffy. This is not good because Fluffy is very, very dirty and very, very dead. I couldn't imagine going over and telling Lavinia that Petey had killed Fluffy. I panicked. I took Fluffy in and I shampooed him and used a blow dryer on him and put him back in the hutch, hoping they'd think the poor rabbit died a natural death. A couple days later, George came over and said, "Ted, did you know that Fluffy died?" Quite truthfully, I said, "Nobody told me," because nobody had. And George said, "There are some sick people around here. Do you know after we buried him, somebody dug him up and cleaned them all up and put him back in that hutch?" It was Lavinia's first week at preschool. She came home on Friday, wired, sugar jag, bouncing off the walls. They'd had not one, but 2 birthdays. So they had not one, but 2 birthday cakes. Just imagine what the afternoon was like in that place. They finally got Lavinia to bed around 11 o'clock. 11:30 or so, George is at the computer. In comes Lavinia, bouncing. "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, do you know how old I'm going to be on my next birthday?" George said, "Princess, why don't you tell me?" And she said, and she held up 4 fingers. And they've been questioning her for a week, and they can't figure out where she found them. It was Thanksgiving. Grandma's house. Every leaf is in the table. There's a card table at each end. It's 24 feet of food. Grandma's been cooking for a week. Now, take a deep breath. Not 1 turkey, 2 turkeys. And over there on the sideboard, those pies just came out of the oven. When dinner's over, they're going to be the perfect temperature to put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on. Little Johnny's at his place at the table. He's got his knife and his fork. He's so hungry he could eat his hand. He hasn't eaten for, it seems like, hours. Mom puts a plate of food down in front of him, and being 7, he starts gobbling it. Then there comes the dreaded mom voice. Everybody knows the mom voice. Johnny, what are you doing? Mom, I'm hungry, I'm eating. You can't eat yet. Why not? We haven't prayed over the food. Johnny's last words, said loud enough for everybody at the table to hear him. Oh, this is Grandma's house. We don't have to pray over the food here. She knows how to cook. Johnny came home from school one day, and he takes his backpack and he tosses it off in the corner and says, Nintendo, here I... Suddenly, the mom voice. No, Johnny, we have to go over to your Aunt Louisa's. She had her baby. It's little Michael, and we're going to go meet him. Oh, okay. Johnny's really not too thrilled about this. He's sitting in his booster seat in the back, and Mom looks up in the rearview mirror. More mom voice. When we get there, don't say a word about Michael's ears. His ears? What about them? And, well, it's more the lack of ears than anything. He was born without the external ear, which is called the pinna on both sides. He was born without them. When he's bigger, when he's older, the plastic surgeons will be able to build him a new set. And what they'll do is they'll put a form underneath the skin and let tissue grow on it, and they'll implant them, and he'll be fine. So they're oohing and aahing over the baby, and Johnny looks up and says, Aunt Louisa, can Michael see okay? Well, yeah, why? Well, if he needs glasses, he's screwed. Julia is 6. She's Johnny's girlfriend. Julia Smith lives a couple doors up the street. Johnny is madly in love with Julia. There's so many names. It's madly in love with Julia, so he hunts up Mr. Smith and says, Mr. Smith, I want permission to marry Julia. Mr. Smith thinks, oh, this is really cute. Well, Johnny, where are you going to live? And Julia pipes up and said, well, we measured both our bedrooms. My bedroom is 7 square feet bigger. So Johnny will just move in over here. Oh, okay. Well, what are you going to do for money? Well, we each get $5 a week for allowance. I did the arithmetic. That's over $500 a year. We're rich. Cuter and cuter, says Mr. Smith to himself. He says, okay, well, what are you going to do if you have kids of your own? And Johnny says, we're not worried. We've been real lucky so far. Okay, now we come to the part of the program that I like best. This is about Sam. Sam and his wife Janet have, oh wait a minute, you have an intro to Sam.
Okay, I thought you were doing the other thing again.
My fault.
That's okay. Sam at the bar, he's a friend of mine. He gives me my drinks for free. Well, he's quick with the smoke, and he tells me a joke, but there's some place that he'd rather be.
That is Sam. Sam is a product of my imagination. He has lived in many different places, in many different time frames. In all of them, he's a fascinating human being. Janet, his wife, his long-suffering wife, loves him very much. They went into court. This is your chance to participate. They went into court and they petitioned to have their last name changed from morning to evening. The judge said, "Why?" "Lucy, it's time. Knock, knock."
Who's there?
"Sam and Janet."
Sam and Janet who?
"Sam and Janet evening."
That's the best groan ever.
Sam, along with Janet, moved here from the West Coast. They brought with them Sam's most prized possession. It's a 9-foot-tall grandfather's clock. It's worth a bloody fortune. Sam built by hand the case to ship it in. Took it in, set it exactly where he wanted to, leveled it, pulled on the weights to get the weights up instead of down, put the pendulum in. You're not supposed to move one of those clocks with the pendulum in. Goes like this. And here's tick, 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 instead of tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Sam realizes that his most prized possession is sick, broken, something. So he goes and looks in the yellow pages. Remember the yellow pages? In the yellow pages, right here in Marion, there's a clock repair guy. His name is Ernst Uhrmacher. Uhrmacher is an omen for Sam because in German it means watcher clockmaker. Soon enough, Ernst is standing in front of the clock. He takes the pendulum and swings it, and it goes tick, 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 tick. Ernst had probably seen too many film noir movies. Reaches into his bag, pulls out a great big flashlight, shines it on the clock dial on the face and says, "Talk, damn you, talk! We have ways of making you talk!" As Lucy indicated in her little song there, Sam, among other things, was a bartender. He was running an expatriate Irish bar in New York City. He's standing behind the bar one evening, and down at the end of the bar, there's two guys talking. Sam is listening, and one says to the other, "I cannot help but tell from your accent that you're not from around here." He said, "No, I'm from Ireland." "Oh, whereabouts in Ireland?" "Dublin." "I'm from Dublin too. What area did you live in?" "We lived in Marylebone." "Oh, so did I." "And would you have gone to St. Ursula's Convent High School?" "Oh, yes, we did. And we lived on St. Mary Street." "Oh, so did I. What a coincidence. What year did you graduate?" 1971. Sam walks back down to the end of the bar where Lilith is coming up to put in a drink order, shakes his head and says, "It's going to be a long night. The O'Brien twins are drunk again." One of the things about living a bunch of lives is at the end of life there is a death. And reincarnation is great for Sam, but it still requires a death. One time, there was a mistake of some kind. Sam found himself on this long down elevator to hell. Old Scratch is waiting for him. "Sam, I've been waiting for centuries to get my claws on you. You like classical music, don't you?" And Sam says, "Yes." "Well, you're going to be exposed to music for eternity. You might not like it, but you're going to run my disco." Sam is aghast. Disco music literally is to him a cruel and unusual punishment. But he goes and he makes the best of it. It's hot in there. All of these people dancing, lots of lights. Sam goes back to scratch and says, the heat. Come on, can we do something about the heat? Can we put in air conditioning? The old devil scratches, cackles and says, I don't think so. Finally, Sam talks him into putting in ceiling fans. Some years later, his friend George, who had also died in the same accident but had taken the up escalator, got permission from St. Peter to go down and visit Sam. He was warned, George, you can go down the escalator to hell. You have 4 hours. If you're at the end of 4 hours, if you're not on the escalator coming back up, you're stuck. George finds Sam and discovers the disco. Well, George is a disco freak. He hangs up his harp and he hangs up his halo and he dances and he dances and he dances and realizes that he has 2 minutes to get on that escalator going back up. He grabs his halo, grabs for his harp, but misses it. And to this day, there's an angel wandering around heaven singing, I left my harp in Sam's Fan Disco. One time Sam was a state trooper in northern Florida. I was on a ride along with him, and we're going along this sort of limited access highway. There in front of us is an old pick-em-up truck, 31 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Sam pulls him over and goes up to the window and says, let me see your license and registration. The little old lady sitting shotgun, deaf as a post, yells at her husband, what'd he say? What'd he say? He says he wants to see my papers. So the old man shows him the papers, and Sam looks at him and says, oh, you're from Yadkin County, Georgia. I used to date a girl in Yadkin County, Georgia. Worst sex I ever had in my life. And the little old lady says, what'd he say? What'd he say? Her husband turned to her and said, says he knows you.